Hello everyone, so in this video we will be talking about two different radio controller that DJI made for their FPV drone. I do apologize because I'm outside since everyone is singing inside. They are singing a lot of songs, so it's a bit difficult to make a video. So for now, let's discuss two different controllers, and these are the DJI FPV controller 2. This is compatible with both the FPV drone and the DJI Avata 1. And of course, we will try to compare it with the DJI FPV controller 3. Okay, so first things first, what you notice is their difference is their antennas. So in the previous generation of the FPV controller, it has this T-type antenna that you could hide, and if you want to use it, you have to pull it out. And it has this similar layout, which is, of course, you got your two gimbals, you got your C1 and your power button. it's way different when I'm looking at the screen. So you got a C1 and power button, and of course your lanyard plug here, where you put your lanyard. And at the back, you got a is this a pause button? Hopefully, this is why it's difficult to use face tracking while showing some products. Okay, you got this pause and return to home button here. Am I correct? Yeah, return to home. And of course, you got your normal mode, sports mode, and your manual mode. And at the other side, you got this three customizable switches. You got a record button, and of course, camera button, if in case you want to capture photos. And of course, at the bottom side, you have a what is this? Start and stop button. Okay, we usually use this to disable return to home, especially if you're low on battery, around 25%, because otherwise the drone or the Avata or the FPV drone will do a return to home the moment you do not press this on a low battery. Okay, so that is the FPV controller 2. This is the only way you could use manual mode for your Avata or even for your DJI FPV drone. You cannot use the motion controller to do so. Okay, so this is very important if you're doing a lot of manual flying. You want to do acrobatic using those two quads. You really need this FPV controller. One thing you will notice is that the gimbal size is really small compared to, let's say, the TX16 of Radio Master. So those kinds of gimbals, it's quite big, but this one, it's really small. It's similar to a gamepad style gimbal, but much smaller compared to the gimbal of the Radio Master Pocket. Okay, FPV controller 2. Now, let's talk about the new FPV controller 3. One thing that you will notice is that the shell that DJI used is somewhat similar. If not, it uses the same shell. The only difference is you don't have an antenna anymore. So this is the antenna. It uses 04 OcuSync 4 transmission. So the range is way better than the OcuSync 3 that is in the FPV controller 3. Okay, so this has a better range even though the antenna is not here. Also, same layout, C1, power button, gimbals with very small size. You got your record and camera button, the three-way switch for normal, sports, and manual mode, the three customizable switches, the pause button, and of course the rotating, I forgot what you call this. This is used to control the gimbal of the Avata and the Avata 2, so that if you want to increase your tilt or you lower down your tilt. this is what you used. Okay, so the only difference between these two things is that this is OcuSync 4, this is OcuSync 3. No antenna has an antenna. Which one should you buy between these two? It will depend on what quad you will be flying. If you are in the Avata 1 and FPV controller, FPV drone, you can only use this FPV controller 2. If you are in the Avata 2, you could only use this FPV controller 3. So there's no way for you to, at the moment, you cannot use this with the Avata 2. I'm not mistaken, in a future firmware, DJI could allow people to use this controller on the Avata 2. But of course, since you are using OcuSync 3, of course, you could not utilize the available bandwidth for OcuSync 4. So that's the only downside. But if you're looking for a budget, these are all on sale right now because people are really trying hard to buy the Avata 2. So some people like me, I'll be selling this over, and yeah, because I cannot use it anymore since I'll be selling the Avata 1, and now I'll be focusing more on this FPV controller 3 for the Avata 2. Now, this backward compatible at the moment. It's not yet compatible with Avata 1. It's not compatible with the FPV drone, even with the O3 Air unit. So that is one problem right now. DJI sent a news or an update that this would be probably backwards compatible with all of those units if they reach their quota. So it would depend if the Avata 2 would be selling like pancakes. So probably this would be backwards compatible. But for now, if you are still using an O3 Air unit, this is the controller that you might need, especially if you're using that O3 Air unit on quads, that probably a freestyle quad, and you want to use the S-Bus control link of the O3 Air unit. You could only use that using this controller. It's why it has a similar dimension. If you see it side by side, you would not know which is which unless you look at the antenna. Okay. Also, we'll try to look at the weight because I feel my gut feel is that the new FPV controller is quite lighter. It's lighter than this one. This one, there's a heft to it, but this one, it's lighter. Let's see. I have a weighing scale here, so let's see the real grams. Okay, 0 grams, 360 grams. Okay, let's look at the FPV controller 3. 235 grams, so that's 100 grams difference. So I really felt that this is really lighter compared with the FPV controller 2. Okay, so that's the difference in weight between these two controllers. So which one should you choose? Okay, as I have said earlier, it would depend on which drone you will be using because they have their own compatibility issue right now. So if you will be flying the Avata 2 and you want to probably invest on the thought that there would be an O4 Air unit, you could actually go with this FPV controller 3. But if you're heavily invested on an Avata 1, the O3 Air unit, I believe this FPV controller 2 is the right choice for you. Especially, there are a lot of deals right now that is really tempting to buy these gadgets. And I think the quality of the controller is really, really good. It's really comparable with the Radio Master or even with the Jumper series. So, if I were you and you want to save some money and you want to go with O3 Air units, go with this one. You will not be wrong. The difference in weight is really, really noticeable because it's around 100 grams. And if you really want to make your setup really light, the FPV Controller 3 is a good option. Alright, so we will end the video here. Hope to see you in the next one. Happy flying, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.